Okay, I thought about it. I prayed about it. I discussed it with my family. And then I decided to go for it. I mean, it seemed absolutely crazy. I was 48 years old. I had been out of the profession for 14 years. Welcome to Down There, a podcast dedicated to pelvic health and wellness for men and women. I want to share a little story with you today. The story that is the answer to the question I get asked all the time. So how did you get in pelvic floor therapy anyway? My answer, it all started with a trainer and a foam roller. What? Yep, you heard that right. A trainer and a foam roller. Now, I didn't expect those two things to lead me back to get my physical therapy license, let alone start my own private practice as a pelvic floor therapist. And I would like to share this kind of unusual story with you today. I want you to know a little bit more about the person behind the videos. So grab some coffee or tea, settle in a bit, and join me as I unfold this unexpected adventure. But first, a little backstory. Our family had moved overseas in around 2000, and I let my physical therapy license lapse. I never thought I would ever pick it back up again. Now, fast forward 13 years, we had moved back to the U.S. I left my job in communications, and I was working a job that I loved, that paid very little. It did not pay the bills, and the financial stress was building. Now, add to that the lifestyle changes that led to a more sedentary life and quite a bit of weight gain. And exercise and self-care kind of fell to the bottom of my to-do list as I really struggled to readjust to living in the U.S. again. Wow, I was stressed, I was tired, and I was hurting. I felt like I was stuck in a vicious cycle of deconditioning, weakness, pain, etc. Can you relate? And then I injured my hip, actually my sacroiliac joint, 1 week before we were going to move again. My knees also hurt. I couldn't get up and down stairs easily. I couldn't even bend over to unload and load the dishwasher. It made it hard to walk, sit, stand, which started to affect my job. Truth be told, I was in the same vicious cycle as many of my former physical therapy patients, and I was shocked and embarrassed that I had let that happen to me. I remember thinking, I am too young to be feeling like this. And so I decided I was going to do something about it. I joined a gym. With the sole intention of losing 10 pounds, getting myself kick-started back into a fitness program, and then I was going to take it from there. It was only supposed to last 6 months. After all, I was a physical therapist. I knew how to get myself back into shape. I didn't need anybody's help, right? Oh, I was so wrong. So I got talked into purchasing the trainer 3-pack. 3 sessions with a personal trainer to start your membership. It was January. Yes, I was one of those join the gym in January people. 3 sessions. That's all. Then I'm done. Wrong again. I showed up at that intimidating, scary gym to meet my new personal trainer, but little did I know the changes and surprises that were in store for me. I really struggled to politely listen to this trainer as we began the fitness assessment. Truth be told, I wasn't sure I wanted to do this, but I was determined to follow through with this commitment I made. I finally admitted, with a lot of embarrassment, that I was a physical therapist, and I was there because I injured my SI joint and my knees hurt. but I was not in the greatest shape. Now, I was fully expecting a judgmental look or condescending reply, but that never came. Quite the opposite happened. Instead, I suddenly found myself in a high-level conversation about the structure and the biomechanics of the sacroiliac joint. And I thought, I've forgotten how much I like talking about this stuff. Then he brought out the foam roller and told me about it. And I got so excited. Okay, I know that sounds weird. I don't get all jazzed over a simple foam roller. Well, let me tell you why. When I started treating patients a few years ago, you didn't have foam rollers. You didn't have self-treatment like that. And how cool to be able to do self-myofascial release on myself. Man, I felt like I had struck gold. And then a spark lit inside me that I thought was dead. That fascination with anatomy and movement, the fascination of the human body, and the desire to help people who are hurting. I also realized just how out of shape I was, and it scared the crap out of me. I clearly needed more help and guidance than I thought. So I continued training and learning, and I started to see results. And then I did something stupid. Yes, I did something stupid. I got overconfident and I overtrained and I injured my shoulder. And I ended up in physical therapy, this time as a patient. Now, during one session, my former coworker who was working with me asked, "Laura, why haven't you gotten your PT license back?" I gave him the typical answer. It's too much work. I'd have to make up all those CEUs. Too much time. I'm too old. But he persisted, telling me I really should look into it. I still had a lot to offer the profession. And this time, I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I made a call and I found out what was needed to get my license reinstated. And they told me all I had to do was retake the PT board exam. Oh, is that all? Are you kidding me? Now, call it a gut feeling, call it divine intervention. I call it God redirecting my life in a very crystal clear way, wanting me to return to physical therapy. Surprise! You want me to do what? Seriously? Okay, I thought about it. I prayed about it. I discussed it with my family. And then I decided to go for it. I mean, it seemed absolutely crazy. I was 48 years old. I had been out of the profession for 14 years. How was I going to accomplish this? I had no idea where even to start, but I was 100% convinced that this was what I was supposed to do. Now, have you heard the saying, God is in the details? Well, I believe that. And I believe he worked out the details in ways I never would have imagined. I spent hours every day at the gym, at home, studying, learning, working out, building relationships. I learned the why behind what I was doing because that was crucial in understanding the exam material and passing that beast of a test. The other trainers and the gym staff, gosh, they became my tribe. They were my study group, my encouragers. They spent hours of their time sharing their expertise with me in bodybuilding, baseball injuries, diabetes management, and more. Boy, I couldn't have done it without them. I also had friends who were in the healthcare industry and helped me study specialty topics. One of those study times really stands out in my mind because it became the next step in my journey. So I was with a former PT coworker. We were studying the sacroiliac joint, the same joint that brought me to the gym in the first place. In the middle of the session, she said something that seemed to be very random. "Laura, I think you'd make a really good pelvic floor therapist." "What's a pelvic floor therapist?" I asked. I had no idea what a pelvic floor therapist was or even what they did. We never learned about that in PT school. Well, she told me what she understood about pelvic floor therapy. My first thought was, wow, that is really weird. Do you think the same thing about pelvic floor therapy? You're not the only one. My second question to her was, why me? My friend replied, because you're very skilled. You can handle the sensitive nature of this in a very professional and confidential manner with compassion. Not everyone's able to do that. Once again, a spark was lit, and I'm very grateful for her comment. I continued my studies. Gosh, there's so much to review. Pelvic floor was not a big topic for the exam, maybe only 1 to 2 questions total. But I found myself more and more interested in learning about it. You're probably wondering, well, Laura, did you pass your board exam? Yes, I passed my physical therapy board exam the first time. Hardest thing I've ever done. The 10 years of experience I had working in acute care, rehabilitation, and orthopedics, the long pause I took as I raised my children and started a second career, and the countless hours of study and preparation to re-enter the physical therapy world, it all paid off. Now what do? Gosh, the profession had changed so much since I was a new graduate many years ago, and there's so many more options available. I mean, now I can specialize, but what and how? Now, I knew that my first passion always has been neuro, how the nervous system affects the rest of our body. Since I was 12, I had wanted to become a neurosurgeon. Did you know that? No kidding. I was fascinated by what I learned about the connection between the nervous system and the pelvic floor issues that patients had. And I loved that. And people got better. I was amazed at the improvements they saw in just a few visits. I found that I'm wired for this. Pelvic floor therapy is not everybody's cup of tea. It fits my personality and my passion for educating and advocating for others. I also had a more personal connection. It's kind of hard to talk about, but for years, I myself struggled with several pelvic floor related problems. Never told anybody about it because I didn't think there was a solution. But they were problems that are treatable with physical therapy. I didn't know that at the time, but I do now. And this is what I wanted to do. And this is what I'm doing now. This is my passion. I love helping people discover how they can break free from the embarrassment, frustration, or the pain they struggle with. Now, taking that first step, I know, it often feels scary or intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. I want to make it as easy and as safe as possible, and to give people an option that this is the best fit for them. So I'll ask you, what option is the best fit for you? Is it going to see a pelvic floor therapist in person and getting a customized treatment plan for your specific problem? If so, we do have resources on how to find a qualified physical therapist in your area, look in the resources down in the description below. But maybe in-person physical therapy isn't an option for you. Perhaps you don't have access to a pelvic floor therapist in your area. Maybe the cost is too great. Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe you just don't want to start with that and you're too embarrassed to go in person. Well, that's why I'm making these videos and creating self-guided programs. I hope they bridge the gap for people and give something to you that's authentic, practical, and easy to follow so that you can start to get results in the privacy of your own home. I'd like you to check out the links below the description for some of those resources. And that is the long answer to the question, how did you get into this weird but wonderful specialty of pelvic floor therapy? Like I said at the beginning of this video, I was not expecting this change, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I hope that my story has given you a little hope and encouragement today. Was it worth it? Absolutely yes. Has it been an easy journey? Heck no. This path to where I'm at now has been full of challenges, disappointments, struggles, even heartbreaks, but not regrets. It was because of those that I'm talking to you now and have been able to help others. I share more about these struggles and how they shaped both myself and my business in the next video. So I'd encourage you to check that out and learn further. Thank you for listening to the show. Drop in a comment and let us know how you liked this last episode. Do you have questions? Or do you want to connect with us further? Perhaps you're ready to take that next step. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Pelvic Connection with Laura McKaig PT. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Laura McKaig PT, or visit our website at www.pelvicconnection.com to discover our online programs and resources or how to work with us in person. Here's to your pelvic health.